What's up, everybody? Nick O'Dwyer back with you for the 10th inning, giving you another episode of This Day in Sports History. In yesterday's episode, we saw one of the greatest left-handed pitchers of all time, in Randy Johnson, get his 300th career victory. We don't have anyone getting their 300th win today, but we do have a lot of important events to get into. Before we get started, though, if you all enjoy this video, leave a like on it. If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, hit that subscribe button. And without further ado, let's get into it. This Day in Sports History. Today we start out at the British Open in 1902, and Sandy Hurd won by one stroke over runners-up James Braid and Harry Vardon. This would be Hurd's only major victory. Then we move up to the US Open in men's golf in 1925, and Willie McFarland defeated runner-up Bobby Johnson by one stroke in a second 18-hole playoff. Again, this would be his only major title as well. 2 years later in 1927, we move to the French Championships in tennis. On the men's side, the hometown favorite René Lacoste defeated Bill Tilden to win his second of three French championships, 6-4, 4-6, 5-7, 6-3, 11-9. This would also be Lacoste's third major title of 7 overall. Then on the women's side, Cornelia Bowman defeated Irene Peacock 6-2, 6-4. This would be Bowman's only major victory in her career on the singles side. We move right back to the British Open in 1931, and Tommy Armour defeated runner-up Jose Jurado by one stroke to win his only Open title. This would be his third and final major championship of his career. Now we move to 1933 and we go right back to the French Championships. On the men's side, Jack Crawford wins his first and only French title, defeating Henry Cochet 8-6, 6-1, 6-3 in straight sets. This would be the fourth major title of his career, and he had 6 total in the single game. Then on the women's side, Margaret Scriven is the first woman from England to win the singles title in the French Championships. She defeated Simone Matthew 6-2, 4-6, 6-4 in 3 sets. This would be the first of her 2 majors in her career and the first of it back-to-back at the French Championships. Move up 4 years to 1937 and we have the 4th Triple Crown winner in horse racing history. At the 69th edition of the Belmont, War Admiral won in 2 minutes 28.6 seconds by 3 lengths to claim his Triple Crown. This would be the first Triple Crown since 1935 when Omaha won it. Then we stick with Triple Crown winners. In 1943, at the 75th edition of the Belmont Stakes, Count Fleet won in 2 minutes 28.2 seconds to become the 6th Triple Crown winner, and he won by 25 lengths. He would be the first Triple Crown winner since 1941, 2 years prior, when Whirlaway won. Now we move up nearly a decade. In 1952, we saw Jersey Joe going up against Ezzard Charles for the heavyweight title. Joe defeated Charles in 15 rounds by a unanimous decision in their 4th meeting overall. This win for Joe evened up the series 2-2. Charles took the first 2 meetings, then Joe came back, took the next 2. 14 years later, the 1966 French Championships. On the men's side, Tony Roche wins his first and only Grand Slam title, defeating Istvan Guyas 6-1, 6-4, 7-5 in straight sets. On the women's side, Anne Hayden-Jones defeated Nancy Richey 6-3, 6-1 for her second French championship. This would also be the second of 3 career major victories in the single game. 11 years later in 1977, we see history made in the NBA when the Portland Trail Blazers defeated the 76ers 109-107 to win their first NBA championship. The 76ers won the first 2 games, then they lost the next 4 games. Maurice Lucas, Bill Walton, Bob Gross, Lionel Hollins all averaged over 15 points for the Trailblazers in the victories. The 76ers were really just led by Julius Erving, who averaged 30.3 points per game, and Doug Collins with 19.7. In the end though, it just wasn't enough, and the Trailblazers got their first ever title. The same year at the French Open on the men's side, Guillermo Villa wins his first career major, defeating Brian Gottfried 6-0, 6-3, 6-0. in straight sets. This would be the first of 4 major victories on the singles side for Villa. 4 years later in 1981, Nolan Ryan, who was the strikeout king and the walk king of all time, set one of those 2 records. He got the walk record on this day. Ryan passed Early Wynn as the all-time walk leader with 1,777 free passes allowed in his career. Wynn is currently 4th all-time now on the walk list, but between 1 and 2, it's not even close. Steve Carlton is in 2nd place with 1,833 walks. Nolan Ryan almost has 1,000 more than him with 2,795. 2 years later at the 1983 French Open, Yannick Noah wins his first and only career Grand Slam, defeating Mats Wilander 6-2, 7-5, 7-6 in straight sets. 5 years later, we stick with the French Open in 1988. On the men's side, Mats Wilander would win his 3rd French title, defeating Henri Leconte 7-5, 6-2, 6-1. This would be his 6th of 7 overall majors in the single game. Then we move up to 1993 at the French Open. This time, on the women's side, Steffi Graf wins her 3rd out of 6 French singles titles. She defeated Mary Jo Fernandez 4-6, 6-2, 6-4. This would be the 12th title of Graf's amazing 22 titles in her career. The same year in 1993, the Phoenix Suns defeated the Seattle Supersonics 123-110 to win the Western Conference Finals 4-3. This was a back and forth series all along, but in Game 7, Charles Barkley of the Phoenix Suns scored 44 points and 24 rebounds in the win. He was going up against Sean Kemp. Sean Kemp was not enough for the Supersonics in that victory for the Suns. A year later in 1994, we moved to the Eastern Conference Finals now, which saw the New York Knicks defeat the Indiana Pacers 94-90, winning the series 4-3. Patrick Ewing had 22 rebounds in the Game 7 victory and averaged 22.3 points and 10.7 boards over the series. Charles Oakley also added 14.1 points and 10.4 boards in the victory. For the Pacers, Reggie Miller at 24.7 and Rich Smits 16.3 points tried to do their thing. It just wasn't enough though. The Knicks moved on. The same year in 1994, at the French Open, in an all-Spanish final on the men's side, Sergi Bruguera defeated Alberto Baratasegui 6-3, 7-5, 2-6, 6-1 in 4 sets. This would be his 2nd French title of 2 overall major final victories. 4 years later at the 1998 NHL Western Conference Finals, the Detroit Red Wings ended up defeating the Dallas Stars 4-2. The Red Wings were up in the series 3-1, but then they lost Game 4, trying to close it out in Game 5. Larry Murphy scored a goal in the first period. He had an assist in the second period when Sergei Fedorov scored 2 minutes into the period. This gave the Red Wings 2 goals. They would shut out the Stars in this game, winning 2-0. A year later at the 1999 French Open on the women's side, Steffi Graf won her 6th and final French Open championship while also winning her 22nd and final overall Grand Slam title. Graf defeated Martina Hingis 4-6, 7-5, 6-2 on her way to her final title. Now we move to Major League Baseball in 2002. Barry Bonds surpassed Frank Robinson by hitting his 587th home run. Bonds did this in style too, hitting a grand slam to move into 4th place all time, with only Willie Mays, Babe Ruth, and Hank Aaron in front of him. We move up 2 years and we go right back to the French Open in 2004. In the women's final, Anastasia Meskina wins her only major title by defeating Elena Dementieva 6-1, 6-2 in straight sets. A year later in 2005 at the French Open, the master of clay, Rafael Nadal, defeated Mariano Puerta 6-7, 6-3, 6-1, 7-5 to claim his first French title. This would be the first of 4 straight French victories for him and 12 victories overall. This would also be the first major victory in his career of 19 total Grand Slam victories. 3 years later, we go right back to Major League Baseball, and Chipper Jones becomes the 3rd switch hitter to hit 400 career home runs. This home run came off Ricky Nolasco when he joined Eddie Murray and Mickey Mantle as the only switch hitters to do so. We end today's video with 3 French Opens. We start out in 2010 on the women's side. Francesca Schiavone wins her first and only Grand Slam title, defeating Samantha Stosur 6-4, 7-6 in straight sets. A year later on the men's side, in 2011, Rafael Nadal wins his 6th French title, defeating Roger Federer 7-5, 7-6, 5-7, 6-1. This would be Nadal's 10th major victory. Then finally in 2016 on the men's side, Novak Djokovic defeated Andy Murray 3-6, 6-1, 6-2, 6-4 to win his first French title. He would get his career Grand Slam, winning the French, winning the Australian, winning the US, winning Wimbledon. This would be Djokovic's 12th major victory of 21 total majors. So there you have it. That's what happened on this day in sports history. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of the names. Let me know down in the comment section if I missed anything. And I'll see you all tomorrow for Nico Dwyer and the 10th inning. See ya.